Good morning, you two. Hope you're all well and you've had a nice weekend. This is your Monday's literacy lesson. So let's have a look at your spelling. So just continuing on from last week's, is we're looking at the S sound, S sound. Now we know the S sound can be made with just an S on its own or the digraph S. But we've also learned it can also be made with the C letter, okay? And it's a very soft letter. When we say k, it's a very hard letter. So you can have a little go at practice doing that. So hand on your throat and say k. Can you hear the movement? Yeah, do it again. And again. It's a very hard, a strong sound. You can hear the movement. But when we say s, do it again. You have a go. S. Your throat is not moving as much. It's a very soft sound, okay? And the rule with this sound is that if it comes before the vowels E, I, and Y, we add the C, the letter C for spellings, okay? And it makes a S sound in those words, like, for example, cell, race, ice, face, space. And also these words like city and circle, as well as words like spicy, bicycle, fancy. And the CY spelling usually comes either in the middle or at the end of the word, okay? So if the S sound is made with C, and it's because it comes before the vowels E, I, and Y, okay? Those are the rules. You've got to remember and look for those, okay? So let's do our spellings today. It's just one word today then. So remember to read the tricky word, write the tricky word, and then put it into a sentence for me. You can just do this on a piece of paper if you want to. That's fine. Or if you want to record it in your book, that's okay too. My turn first. Rice, your turn. Have a go at writing the word. Then can you put it into a sentence? I like to eat rice. So have a think what you'd put for your sentence. Pause the video here if you need some time to write. Okay, grammar then this week. Again, continuing on with exclamations and question marks. So exclamations are sentences that begin with what or how. They're full sentences and they include a verb, and they end with an exclamation mark. Now, an exclamation mark looks like, use a different pen so you can see it a bit better. So it just looks like a line going down with a little dot, and it's usually used to express excitement, shock, wonder, or sometimes if you're feeling angry. So it's expressing how you feel, okay? So that's what we use an exclamation mark for. Whereas questions are usually used for when we're asking a question. When we're asking a question, and they usually end with a question mark at the end. So questions can begin with lots of different question words like how, what, when, where, when, who, why. So for example, when are you going to the park? Okay, so we have when. Going is the verb in this sentence, and at the end we have a question mark, and it usually needs an answer. You need to say or reply back to the question, okay? So here are some similarities and some differences between the two. How to spot them. So exclamations and questions both can begin with how and what. Both exclamations and question marks can include a verb, so an action word like hop, skip, jump, run. Exclamations end with an exclamation mark, and questions end with a question mark. Questions need an answer as they're asking something, and exclamations usually show expressing shock, surprise, or wonder at something. Okay, so something for you to try here. So you don't need to write anything down, so just have a look at these sentences. So I want you to tell me which of these two sentences, what type of punctuation do they need? Do they need a question mark or does it need an exclamation mark? And you've got to tell your grown-up. So I'm going to read the sentences to you, and then you can have a quick chat with your grown-up, okay? So when are you going to the park? Your next sentence, I am so excited for my sleepover. So tell me what each of those sentences need. Do they need a question mark or do they need an exclamation mark? Pause the video here and have a quick chat and then come back and check your answer. Okay, so let's go through these then. When are you going to the park? So it's asking a question, so it needs a question mark. Next one, I am so excited for my sleepover. That's right, it needs an exclamation mark because you're showing excitement, you're showing feeling. Okay, let's move on. So today's task is that you're going to analyse. Now I know you've heard this word before, but it's a tricky word and it just means to look at in detail at something. And in today's case, we're looking at something called a non-chronological report. And I've talked about this quite a bit last week. And it just means like writing a fact file about something, about one subject. So you get all the information together and you're putting it all together into one piece. Okay, so we're going to look at that closely, look at the features of those. So a non-chronological report is we write a non-chronological report to give people information about a particular subject or topic, and in our case we're going to be writing all about butterflies, as that's what we are doing, and it's also links to our curriculum, our topic work too. So let's have a look at some of the important features that you wouldn't see in a chronological report. So let's have a look. So we have a title. You might have an introduction to talk a bit about what it is that you're going to write about. And in our case, it would be butterflies. You have subheadings. You have sections of information, so it's like little paragraphs or little snippets of information. Factual information, so it contains facts, okay, so it's not made up, it's not fiction, it's factual information. Real and general knowledge information, okay. And then we have diagrams and pictures with captions. And captions is just means having a sentence underneath, or just to explain what's happening, or to talk about the diagram or pictures or photos or what it's of. Okay, so those are the things that you would see in a non-chronological report. Okay. So here's my Waggle. So I have got one about mini beasts. Okay. So I'm going to read it through just briefly. I'm not going to read it all, but just going to go through it with you, all right? Okay, mini beasts. Mini beasts are small animals that are found in places like gardens, rivers, and houses. There are lots of different kinds of mini beasts, such as spiders, beetles, and butterflies. Some mini beasts have lots of legs, and some have wings. In the garden. There are lots of mini bees to be found in people's gardens. You might see bees buzzing around the flowers. Bees have yellow and black stripes to show other animals that they can sting. You could also see butterflies gently flying with their big, colourful wings. You cannot find a baby butterfly because when they are young, they are caterpillars. And the caterpillars eat lots of food and then build a special cover called a chrysalis, which they stay in until they change into butterflies. Butterflies can come in lots of different colours and sizes. As well as creatures, they fly. There are some mini beasts that slide along the ground and up the walls. Snails and slugs both have soft bodies and live in the ground. Snails have a hard shell on their backs to keep them safe. Slugs do not have shells. They hide under leaves to keep safe. Slugs are seen as pests as they eat all the plants in people's gardens. Now I'm going to stop there. I know it's a little bit tricky for you to see because I've tried to use my highlighter to show my Waggle, but hopefully you'll get the idea. Okay, so what I've done is I've gone through, I read this earlier, and then I had a go at picking out the key features from my text. Okay, so I've highlighted this one, so this is my title. Okay, so it says mini beasts. That's when I know what it's all about. okay? And this bit here, mini beasts are small animals that are found in places like gardens. It's like an introduction. It tells you some information about it, okay? It doesn't have to be very long. It can just be a couple of lines like this one, okay? Just very brief introduction to say what the subject is about. Okay, we've also got subheadings. So for example, in the garden, hopefully you can see this, but I've had to use my highlighter on here, so it's a little bit tricky. In the garden, in the ponds and rivers, in your home. So they are subheadings. So the information is divided into sections. Okay, and I've pinpointed that here as well. Okay, it's divided into sections. So you talk about each subject, so you're talking about ponds and rivers, then about homes and about gardens. So you're sort of separating the information and putting your ideas together. We also have photos. It could also be pictures with captions, but that's what it is. That's what we have. So we've got photos. We've also got factual information, which I've underlined, like, for example, caterpillars eat lots of food and then they build a special cover called a chrysalis, which they stay in until they change into butterflies. Now, that's a fact, not made up, it's real. Also got snails have hard shells on their back to keep them safe. Slugs do not have shells. That's another fact. Okay, so I've gone through it and I've highlighted all the important features for my Waggle. What I'd like you to do then today is, in your book, hopefully you will have a non-chronological text. Now, it's not about mini bees, so I've changed this slightly. I've given you something a bit different. I've talked about all about beaches, so that's the information text that you're going to have and look at. And in your literacy home learning booklet, you also have this checklist. So I want you to go through and I want you to read it, not once, but twice. And then I want you to go and see if you can pick out the title, the introduction, subheadings, facts, and diagrams. And I want you to label them. Now, I don't mind if you use colouring pencils. You can do different colours. You can, for a title, you might have yellow. For an introduction, you might use a blue colour to highlight or just to underline, okay? I do not want you to use felt-tip pens or chalk or paint or anything like that. Just colouring pencils to underline and highlight, okay? Have a go at picking out those features, and you can give yourself like a quick tick once you've done all those and you found the key features, okay? So that's what you will be doing today. So remember to read the information and use your checklist to highlight the key features. It's important that you use this, okay? Don't just do it without it. It's there to help you. And then you can write this, for example, title is there, so I might write title like I've done. Look at my Waggle, okay? So if you need to go back and look, check mine again, all right? And then you can have a go at doing yours. Is that okay? That is all from me today. Remember, if you need any help, you can ask your grown-up to send us an email and we'll be happy to help you with your learning, okay? I shall speak to you tomorrow. Bye.